Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we continue our ranking of the Traitor Legions, as we move into the top 4. Which Traitor Legion is the greatest threat to the Imperium of mankind? No need for a spoiler warning today, but if you missed out on part 1, you'll probably want to go back and check that one out first before continuing on, so you understand why and how I've come about the rankings thus far. As always, these kind of discussions are just a bit of fun, and only my own opinion. The beauty of talking lore is we all have our own opinions. Agree, disagree, drop your thoughts in the comments below with your own rankings. As a quick reminder, just what legions have I already placed? Well, beginning the ranking down in 9th, I went for the Alpha Legion. And I know that is undoubtedly a bit of a controversial one to the Alpha Legion fans out there. But someone has to come in last, and for me there's just not enough known about the Alpha Legion's status as a unified legion currently. Next in 8th place, I went with the Night Lords. While the Night Lords' future is appearing to be something of a legion rebirth, currently their history is one of very much scattered warbands. As a big fan of the Midnight Clad, hopefully this continues to change as we move forward, as I would love to see the Night Lords Legion really regain its prominence. In 7th, I went for the Emperor's Children. While they were shattered as a legion in the Traitor Legion Wars, and their history since has been rather quiet, the lore we have tells us their rebuild has actually gone rather well. They are now the most unified they have ever been, or at least since the Legion's fall. Combine that with the severely underrated Fulgrim, and well, the Emperor's Children future is looking quite bright. They are most definitely a big threat in the Imperium's future. Next in 6th came the Thousand Sons. Despite their numbers most likely being the worst of all the Traitor Legions, for me Magnus alone elevates the threat this legion possesses. Combined with the prowess of the Thousand Sons sorcerers, honestly for me the Thousand Sons punch well above their weight. And finally, in 5th place, I went for the World Eaters. As someone who's been a bit dismissive of the World Eaters in the past, lately I've begun to be swayed around to the sheer overwhelming devastation this legion unleashes. Yes, they are predictable. Yes, they are coming straight for you. But that doesn't mean you can stop them. In this new galaxy of war, Khorne and the World Eaters are stronger than ever. With Angron about to return, these guys could well find themselves even higher. So with that out the way, let's move on to today's top 4. Which Traitor Legion is the greatest threat to the Imperium of mankind? In 4th place, I have the Iron Warriors. Maybe it's just me, but I've always felt the Iron Warriors are a bit underappreciated. And man would Perturabo like to hear me saying that. Unfortunately Perty, I'm not talking in lore here. I mean in general. It just feels like the Iron Warriors are one of the more forgotten legions. Most likely because yes, they are one of the more dull ones, compared to the likes of the characteresque World Eaters and Death Guard for example. But I think this lack of recognition is a big disservice to the Iron Warriors, because they are a seriously deadly proposition. Now the Iron Warriors have gone through a civil war since the days of the Heresy, known as the Dispute of Iron. However, it's highly believed that this was instigated on the orders of Perturabo himself, in his desire to once more purge the weak from his legion. And well, if you know anything about Perturabo, you have to admit this does sound right up his street. The Iron Warriors are also one of the Traitor Legions who still actively recruit Marines. So I wouldn't expect their numbers to really have taken too much of a loss either. Considering the Legion was once estimated to number well into the 100,000, you'd still expect the Legion to be fairly substantial. I also don't put too much stock in the fact that the Iron Warriors are said to be broken down into warbands. Essentially all of these are still based upon Medringard, the Iron Warrior homeworld, and they are de facto grand companies, run by a powerful warsmith. It's a situation that most of the Traitor Legions find themselves in, essentially being left to run themselves until their Primarch actually decides to do something. When it comes to fighting, let's be honest here, there are few forces within the galaxy that can match the Iron Warriors for firepower. When the Iron Warriors go to war, they bring absolute hell with them, making particular use of their own traitor titans. There are few worlds within the Imperium that could stand up to the grinding bombardment of an Iron Warrior assault. With all that in mind though, honestly for me, the Iron Warriors deserve their placement in the top 4, largely due to Perturabo himself. No, we don't really know much about his ascension to demonhood, and if I'm honest, I'm still holding out for a retcon, the one traitor Primarch who doesn't actually ascend to demonhood. Either way, regardless though, there was a reason this guy was placed in charge of the Siege of Terra. There was a reason that Rogel knew this was his ultimate challenge. The Lord of Iron is right up there with Guilliman and Dawn in terms of battlefield acumen. He doesn't just take in the battlefield, Perturabo governs the entire picture. The wider campaign, the supply lines, the moves beyond the move, the counter moves, the outcomes, everything. Perturabo is a sublime tactician. And we know from the lore he has spent much of the past 10,000 years studying and infiltrating Segmentum Obscurus, which he successfully invaded during Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade. With much of this segmentum across the Great Rift, we simply don't know just what's going on. There is a real possibility Perturabo could have taken a vast amount of territory, re-establishing his fabled Iron Empire. With this in mind, the Iron Warriors are absolutely a grave threat for the future of the Imperium Nihilus. If Perturabo is indeed carving out his own empire, it's going to take a monumental effort to try and remove him. And I'm not sure that's something the Imperium can handle across the Great Rift. So for me, the Iron Warriors absolutely deserve the placing here in the top 4. A mastermind of a Primarch who still controls his Legion, a plan millennia in the making unleashed, and half the galaxy quite possibly at his disposal. The Iron Warriors are absolutely poised for a big future. Moving on, next in 3rd place, I have the Death Guard. Now the Death Guard have actually taken a little tumble in my rankings here. Formerly, I'd absolutely have these guys vying for top spot. However, with Mortarian's loss in Ultramar, with his patron Nurgle now very displeased, well, Mortarion may not be entitled to a freedom he once enjoyed. And if he is limited by Nurgle for the foreseeable future, removed from the galaxy to fight in the Great Game, well, that curtails a fair bit of the Death Guard's prowess. Legion-wise, the Death Guard are still most likely the most structured Traitor Legion, not only retaining their pre-heresy structure, but having actively grown in size to boot. Aside from Typhus, Mortarion has held together his Legion, crafting it into his own image, and the Death Guard have swelled into an even more terrifying force well, than they ever were before. The plagues of Nurgle the Death Guard bring are absolutely devastating for any system that feels their touch, turning the populace into a mindless horde of poxwalkers. An army may be good against an invader, but it can do nothing against disease. As a result, entire worlds can fall to the Death Guard without a shot even being fired. Of course, their durability is legendary, able to overcome wounds and blows that would otherwise kill even a fellow Astarte. And in being Nurgle's chosen, they receive the ever-present aid of his demon kind. So even their already intimidating numbers can soon become ever larger. Typhus, despite not being under Mortarion sway, is a very dangerous opponent too. If Nurgle deems it, he will return to his father's lead. However, for the most part, he is his own man. And that gives the Death Guard a certain wild card factor, as the Imperium can never be too sure on how Typhus is going to act. Despite Mortarion being completely and utterly owned by the Emperor, he is still one of the most fearsome warriors in the galaxy. There's no two ways about it, he absolutely obliterated Guilliman in their encounter. If it wasn't for the Emperor, Guilliman would be dead. Again. It makes you wonder, if Guilliman can't stop Mortarion, then who else can? The simple fact is, it is very lucky for the Imperium that Mortarion is currently, it would appear, off the playing field. Because, like I said, if he wasn't, well then the Death Guard would well be pushing for the top spot. So the final two, the Wordbearers and the Black Legion, the Sons of Lorgar and the Renegades of Abaddon. In second place, I have the Wordbearers. Quite a remarkable change really, considering how demeaned the Wordbearers were during the days of the Great Crusade. Their legion looked down on for their slow rates of conquest, and their Primarch viewed as weak by his brothers. Now, well, you may not have the Wordbearers in second like me, but there can be little doubt they are absolutely one of the gravest threats the Imperium currently faces. Let's make no bones about it, the element of faith is currently extremely important. It's the very bedrock of the Imperium's survival. Before the fall of Cadia, it was already important. Since then, it's the Imperium's heartbeat, the last thread of hope that holds back the darkness. The Wordbearers are attempting to infiltrate the Ecclesiarchy across the Imperium, and they are most likely doing so with frightening ease. We the reader know that the very foundation of the Imperial Creed are the words of Lorgar himself, and it appears this knowledge is most definitely going to come into play in some manner or another, with even Guilliman reading the despised Book of Lorgar. Without even having to fire a shot, the Wordbearers are already one of the biggest threats facing the current Imperium. So much depends on the faith in the Emperor. Entire worlds survive the darkness only through their sheer devotion. It's the one unifying link, no matter where in the Imperium you are, from Catachan, Necromunda, Fenris to Nocturne. Every world, no matter their language, no matter their culture, has faith in the God Emperor. If this was to be rocked, tarnished in any way, the results could be catastrophic. And now we get to the Legion itself. The Wordbearers have always been one of the largest legions, and that is no different today. While a civil war has raged behind the scenes in Lorgar's absence, the truth is the Legion still remains largely united. And now with rumours of Lorgar once more returned to the galaxy, well, the Wordbearers would be expected to be completely unified. Lorgar, while perhaps not the best warrior amongst the traitor Primarchs, is still elevated to demonhood, and so poses a big task for Guilliman to face in combat. Combined with the fact that Lorgar is also a powerful psyker, it makes Guilliman's already uphill task a mountain. Now Lorgar is believed to be leading his dark crusade across the stars, bringing in world after world under the sway of the Pantheon. Each and every world the Wordbearers conquer is one the Imperium will never get back. Even if the Imperium could eradicate the traitor forces, its populace would be completely enraptured by their new dark patrons. And in a time such as this, each world the Imperium loses is a heart-wrenching blow. As a full-scale Traitor Legion, the Wordbearers are a threat the Imperium would already struggle to face. Combined with the flaws in the Imperial Creed, the dark worship that Lorgar brings, for me the threat they pose elevates to an alarming degree. However, even that is not enough to displace the Black Legion. As a Primarch fanboy, part of me winces at having to place Abaddon above the traitor Primarchs. But credit where it's due. Abaddon the Despoiler is undoubtedly the gravest threat the Imperium currently faces. It is thanks to him and his Legion that the Imperium is on its knees. And it is thanks to him and his Legion that the situation could only get worse. The Black Legion is by far the largest traitor legion, taking in any who forsake the Imperium. The ranks of the Legion have swelled to almost unimaginable proportions, even stated in some older lore to be 10 times the size of the Wordbearers. Now, with such expansion, the quality of the Black Legion may not be quite the same throughout. However, simply put, those kind of numbers, when we're talking Astartes, is simply staggering. The Imperium is constantly on the back foot whenever having to face the Black Legion in force. Now, the core of the Legion remains the former Sons of Horus, arguably in some eyes the greatest legion of the Great Crusade. And it is those same Marines who follow their former first captain today. This makes the true Black Legion Astartes, as I would call them, real veterans of the Long War. The Marines who were there when Horus declared the heresy, who were there during the Siege of Terror, who were there when Abaddon slew the clone of his father. These Marines are a match for any traitor legion. Abaddon may not be able to go toe-to-toe with a Primarch, but you can't argue he's outfought them and outmaneuvered them for the past 10,000 years. While each of his Black Crusades were believed to have been failures, the truth has now been laid clear, and only too late its repercussions seen by the Imperium. The question isn't will Abaddon reach the throne world, but why hasn't he yet? Yes, he's been largely stalled in his move for Vigilus, but that campaign is still raging, and it's highly unlikely that this is Abaddon's true goal. If the past 10,000 years have taught us anything, it's that Abaddon is only underestimated at your peril. Abaddon and his Black Legion are the undoubted greatest threat the Imperium faces from the Traitor Legions. But as always everyone, what do you think? Do you agree with my rankings or do you disagree? How would you rank your top 4? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too? With that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.